All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something, well, something that's pretty much invisible, but it's already reshaping our entire world. I'm talking about everything from the car you drive to the electricity in your house. Welcome to the world of cyber-physical systems.
Wow, that's a pretty heavy statement, right? It really sets the stage perfectly. And look, this isn't just some boring academic topic. We're talking about the future of, well, everything: industry, national security, our whole way of life.
And this stuff isn't science fiction anymore. It's not some far-off future. Cyber physical systems, let's just call them CPS, they're already here. They're the hidden engines running, well, pretty much all the critical stuff we rely on every single day. Think about it. From a factory floor to a high-tech operating room, these systems are making decisions that have real, immediate physical consequences.
So, how do you even wrap your head around what a CPS is? The best way to think about it is like this. It's the nervous system for our entire modern world. Seriously, it's that crucial link that lets digital brains, software and code, actually sense, react to, and control the physical stuff around us. And just like with our own bodies, if that nervous system fails, everything fails. I mean, the consequences are absolutely catastrophic. The stability of our cities, the flow of our economies, basically, the entire fabric of our modern lives now hangs on these systems working perfectly.
Okay, so we get it. The stakes are incredibly high. But what is a cyber physical system really? Like at its core? Let's break down the surprisingly simple loop that actually runs our world.
All right, here's the textbook definition, but let's make it simple. A CPS isn't just software, and it's not just a machine. It's the fusion of the two. It's where code gets a direct, live connection to physical action. And the key here is that it all happens in real time.
So how does this fusion actually work? Well, it all comes down to this continuous adaptive loop. First, you've got your sensors. Think of these as the eyes and ears, gathering data from the real world. That data gets fed to the software. That's the brain of the operation, processing everything and making a decision. Then, the actuators. They're like the muscles. They take that decision and turn it into a physical action. But here's the magic part: feedback. The sensors are also measuring the result of that action, and that new information goes right back into the loop. It's this constant cycle that makes the CPS seem almost alive, doesn't it? Always adapting.
We can actually break this down even more into three key pillars. First up is the cyber pillar. That's the digital brain, right? The software, the AI, the thing making all the calls. Next is the physical pillar, the body and the muscles. These are the motors, sensors, and actuators that actually do stuff. And then, and this part is absolutely crucial, you have the control pillar. Think of this as the system's reflexes. It's using that feedback loop we just talked about to make constant, tiny adjustments that keep everything stable and safe. It's what prevents a robot arm from smashing through a wall or stops a power grid from overloading. Super important.
Okay, and this leads us to something really, really important to understand. It's super easy to just lump CPS in with all the other tech we use, but that is a huge mistake, a dangerous one. Because when a CPS fails, the stakes are on a completely different level. Just think about the difference for a second. When a normal IT system, say your banking app, crashes, what happens? It deals with data. Yeah, it's annoying, for sure, but it's basically contained. A CPS, though? It deals with physical reality. It's working in strict real time, where even a millisecond delay matters. So here's the bottom line. When a CPS fails, you don't just get an error message on a screen. You get blackouts, you get collisions, you get, well, much, much worse. So these are really the hallmarks of a CPS. First, that real-time operation. Any delay, any latency can be catastrophic. Second, that tight link between software and hardware. You can't just secure one without the other. They're totally connected. And third, and this is the big one, the physical consequences. A hack or a bug doesn't just corrupt a file, it can cause a real, tangible, and sometimes incredibly dangerous physical event. And all this danger, it leads us straight to the core security challenge. You see, securing a cyber-physical system, it's not like just patching an app on your phone. Not even close. It's more like trying to fight a war on 3 different interconnected fronts, all at the same time. So the big question is, what makes these things so darn hard to secure, right? Why is this problem so much tougher to crack than the cybersecurity we're used to hearing about? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple and kind of terrifying.
A CPS doesn't just have one front door for an attacker. It basically merges three completely different kinds of weak spots into one giant target. Let's break them down. First, you've got your digital attack surface. This is the stuff we know: hacking firmware, messing with APIs, that kind of thing. Then you've got the physical attack surface. An attacker could literally just walk up and tamper with the sensor, mess with the power supply, or even just cause a part to overheat. And last, you have the human layer. You know, someone setting it up wrong, not doing the right maintenance, or, yep, clicking on that phishing email.
And again, this is not just theory. This is real. Some of the most famous real-world attacks, like the Stuxnet worm that sabotaged Iran's nuclear centrifuges, or the massive hack that took down Ukraine's power grid, they worked precisely because the attackers hit all three of these layers at once. So where does all this leave us? We are marching headfirst into a future that is absolutely, undeniably cyber-physical. And that's a double-edged sword, isn't it? On one side, you have incredible innovation. But on the other, you have a level of risk we've just never seen before. Get a load of this number. By 2035, which is not that far away, an estimated 80% of all our critical infrastructure is going to be driven by these systems. This is not some little niche trend. This is the very foundation of the society we're all going to be living in. And that brings us to a pretty chilling thought. Every single one of these devices, every smart gadget, every automated factory, every drone flying overhead, if it gets compromised, it doesn't just become a broken piece of tech. No, it becomes a potential weapon, a weapon that can be aimed right at us in the real physical world. So to wrap this all up, I just want to leave you with this one big question to think about. As more and more of our physical world is handed over to software, we really have to ask ourselves, who's writing that code? Who's in charge of securing it? And when it all comes down to it, when our whole world is running on code, who's really holding the keys?